Last Sunday afternoon, I was browsing through the TV channels when I came across a film that I have been looking forward to watch for a long time, but never got the opportunity to do so. It was Mirch Masala, and it was showing on Lok Sabha TV. The film stars well-known actors like Nasserudin Shah, Ratna Patak Shah, Om Puri, Deepti Nabal, Suresh Oberoi, and late Smita Patil. Such films in the 80s and 90s were given the tag of being a parallel cinema film. Such films are known to be very deep, reflective, and very slow paced, sometimes having no narrative at all. But Mirch Masala was anything but that. Mirch Masala was a well paced, highly engaging film, and it was able to convey what it wanted to say without indulging in too heavy dialogue bazi, which is something some of the socially conscious films of the present day seem unable to avoid. Mirch Masala conveys most of its messages merely with the actors' looks, visuals, and colors. After watching the film, I felt like it is easily one of the best films of the Indian cinema, and I thought I have to make a video on this. So in this video, I am going to analyze Mirch Masala, a film directed by Ketan Mehta, which is mostly remembered for the fantastic performance by its protagonist Smita Patil. Mirch Masala is a story of a village in Gujarat where most men have migrated to cities for work, leaving women, children, and older people behind. A new Subedar has come to town whose job is to collect taxes from the village. The film is set in colonial India. Subedar, played by Nasserudin Shah, is one who controls the taxes, thereby controls the businessmen, and hence becomes de facto the most powerful man in the village. To assert his power, he regularly threatens businessmen, beats up people who can't pay up the taxes, and sleeps with village women indiscriminately. But why did he do that? Did he merely want sexual gratification, or was there something more there? There is a very famous quote by Oscar Wilde, which is, "Everything is about sex except for sex. Sex is about power." I feel this statement has some merit. Let's examine this in light of Mirch Masala. In the film, Subedar chases after Sonabai when she refuses his advances. Why did he do that? Maybe it was because deep down he knew that his power over the village was illegitimate, which is true not just for the Subedar but also of the British Empire, who felt the need to trample and oppress people not because of any particular reason but because they wanted to display their power. They wanted people to know that they are powerful. Dictators and tyrants throughout history have often used shock and awe tactics on people they are supposed to govern, to let them know that they are the one who are in power. This performance of power is not just limited to exercise and execution of power, it is much more than that. It is more like a theatre or a performance. One performs this power display so that others believe in their superiority and absoluteness. In Mirch Masala, the Subedar displays power so that villagers get convinced of his superiority. The fact that it was an open secret that Subedar is sleeping with village women goes on to show that Subedar wanted to display that he has the power. Just about everything in his personality reflected that. The manner in which he dressed, which was so immaculate, the way he kept his mustache, everything suggested that he wanted people to know that he is the one who is in charge of the village. The fact that he wanted to publicly assault Sonabai is the sole proof that he wanted to flaunt his power over villagers. While Subedar in the film literally performs power, during the British rule, this display of power was rather routine affair. The parades by British were nothing but a symbolic way of showing dominance towards the colonized. While on the face of it, this display of power through rituals and parades were symbolically suggesting the dominance of British Empire, the effect of this dominance by British Empire was seen when Indians were ritualistically plundered by the Britishers, sometimes through taxes and often by raping and pillaging villages and towns. Interesting thing to note that in the film it is the women who fight back the Subedar, but men of the village, they didn't fight back. But why? They colluded with the Subedar, who was the representative of the colonial rule, and agreed to give Sonabai to the Subedar. And when their women tried to shame them by banging thalis, they beat them up and shoved them inside their house. It was not just true of the men in the film, but during the colonial era, most men, especially rich and upper middle class men, did corroborate with the Britishers because men who had higher rank jobs, higher rank position in the British bureaucracy, even though they were beneath the British in power, they still enjoyed considerable power over women, children, and people of lower caste and class. As shown in the film, the men of the village were happy to side with the Britishers as long as they were given some power over women and men of lower caste. It was not that these men didn't feel oppressed by the Britishers, but they repressed their desire for resistance and sublimated it by showing dominance over those who are lower to them in social hierarchy, such as women, children, and people of lower caste and class. Barring a couple of men, one was Abu Mia and other a Gandhian school teacher who resisted villagers giving away Sonabai to Subedar. Abu Mia specially is a symbolic of the secure but fading masculinity. When Subedar ordered the gate of the factory to be broken down, where women collectively worked to ground chilies into masala. Once broken down, Abu Mia, the only man who didn't drive power by oppressing women and other people, the only man apart from a conscientious Gandhian teacher to oppose giving away a Sonabai, as soon as the gate breaks down, Abu Mia shoots Subedar and Subedar falls from his horse. And then we see Abu Mia being shot and killed. And then women run towards Subedar and throw chili powder in his eyes, blinding him. And in the final shot, we see Smita Patil carrying a sickle in her hand. Red chilies blinding Subedar, who's not just a man but also an agent of colonial rule. The film is making the point that one's work has the power to resist oppression. The masala, which is made by grounding chilies, is the result of the women's work and labor. The film not only tells women how to resist, but to post-colonial nations like India, it gives out the message that to resist, you only have to work, and your work has the power to dismantle this hierarchy. This film, if seen microscopically, may seem to be just about a village in Gujarat where women resisted a lustful and tyrannical Subedar. But if looked at it macroscopically, it was the story about India, about the barbarity of the colonial rule, and how India, which is symbolically represented as women in the film, finally fights back.